You're listening to WNYU 89.1 FM, WNYU.org. This is the New Afternoon Show. I'm Dylan. We're very fortunate to have in the studio with us today John Spencer of John Spencer Blues Explosion, Boss Hog, Heavy Trash, Pussy Galore, if you want to say hi.
Hi.
John Spencer Blues Explosion just put out an album in March, I believe, called Freedom Tower No Wave Dance Party.
2015.
I noticed that album title and the cover itself are very sort of evocative of the city. Do you want to explain maybe some themes that you were working with, or just the idea behind
the album? The album Freedom Tower has a sort of loose theme, and that theme is our hometown. It's New York City. We've been a band for about 24 years, and always lived here and worked here. And I think with this record, we sort of make a stand or take a stand about our hometown and about the place where we live. And it's not just about the city today. It's also about the city from 10, 20 years ago, that the city that, that's long gone. It's also about a city that maybe never even existed except in my imagination or my heart. And it's not just about the city itself, the tall buildings and the noise and all the people and, all that jazz. It's also about, the other artists and musicians, the people that have lived and worked here and that come before us and who have been an inspiration to the Blues Explosion. So, there's a bunch of different things going on in there.
The album art for the album looks a lot like a flyer for a so-called dance party or something, and I know that the live performance is very important to John Spencer Blues Explosion. Is that what you were trying to evoke with that kind of cover, or I don't know? I
suppose in some way. I wanted to. I do the artwork. I do the artwork for pretty much all the records. And with the Freedom Tower one, I wanted to make it look like a 12-inch, like a disco record. And so there were a couple different things playing around in there. I don't know about the dance party, but definitely a dance record. I wanted to look like that. There's other things in there on the inside. There are security photos from Midtown high-rises.
Oh, okay.
This is kind of this is a modern New York thing. If you're going into a big office building these days, a lot of them make you stop at the front desk. It's not just that you got to sign in. They'll take you a photo and then give you this little sticker with the photo and a barcode on it, and you got to wear that around.
It seems like the title, it's the Freedom Tower No Dance Party, is really encompassing like the heights of New York City.
The Freedom Tower, of course, for those people who don't know, is referring to the World Trade Center. Right. That was the name they were using for a while, and I think they've largely given up on that. They're just calling it One World Trade again. Yeah. But it seemed like such a sort of ridiculous,
very
name to
totally
go after everything that happened, with the old Twin Towers.
Now, you're also in Heavy Trash.
Yes. And
Heavy Trash just recently went on tour. How do you manage to... I think that so many musicians have trouble managing like one band, or how do you do it with all these different projects, both Heavy Trash, John Spencer Blues Explosion? Do you find it difficult to do that, or
not really? If I'm in the middle of one thing, then that's really where my head is at. That said, I'm here today to talk about mainly the Blues Explosion, right, the new record Freedom Tower. I'm home for a few days. On Monday, we start touring again, the Blues Explosion. We begin a 2-week tour. Another leg of our U.S.-Canadian tour will be playing up in Burlington, Vermont at the Higher Ground. But so, that's my main focus and taking up my time. But in July, I'm going over to Europe for a couple of weeks with Heavy Trash. So, I guess it just takes a little bit of planning and some common sense. It's not the hardest thing in the world.
So you've been rooted in New York for, like you said, 25, 30 years, right?
I've lived here for about 30 years, yeah.
So you've noticed the sort of obvious changes. Do you notice those changes when you tour, too, in other cities? Or?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the same things that happen in New York City, the way that the small local mom-and-pop businesses are getting pushed out for the chains, such as, CVS, Dunkin' Donuts, 7-Eleven. I mean, you find those same stores everywhere, which is, sad.
Do you find it difficult to find to discover new venues to perform at too? Or I don't know if you're
No, I think
involved in that.
well, you mean in New York City?
Or no, all over. I guess just
No,
figuring out.
the live music seems to be very, very, very much alive and well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess, is there anything else about the album specifically that you want to mention? That
I think it's a great record. We wrote it and recorded it and mixed it all here in New York City. Written down on the Lower East Side in our basement rehearsal space, same place I've had forever. And then we tracked it out in Bushwick, out in Brooklyn, at the Daptone Studios. Daptone is, of course, the famous soul label, home of people such as Sharon Jones, Charles Bradley, Lee Fields, the Budos Band. Great label. So we recorded the record out there at their studio, worked with the fantastic engineer Wayne Gordon, who's one of the house engineers out at Daptone, and then mixed it uptown in Harlem at Alap Momin's studio. And Alap was a guy who was in the sort of underground hip-hop band Dialect. And so, very much, it's not just that some of the songs on the record are about this crazy city, New York. It was that we also made and the record right here in New York City.
Do you find that you resort to those kind of engineers to gain a kind of authenticity with the album? Because I noticed just listening to it sounds amazing.
I don't think it's a question of authenticity.
Right.
I think it's a question of aesthetic.
Yeah.
I'd grab it. I seek out people to work with whose work I can relate to, whose work I admire, and also it's important that you get along with the people. You can have share a laugh or something sometimes.
The record's out on Shove, correct?
Yeah, I mean, Shove is my old label. That was my Pussy Galore label. That was the label. It was when I started, playing in bands. I put out records myself. That was Shove, and a few years ago, I kind of revived Shove when I began doing some reissues. I guess the credit for Freedom Tower, as far as the record label, we should really mention Mom and Pop. They're a local independent record label.
What else has come out on Mom and Pop?
Their big artists are people like Courtney Barnett, Policia, Andrew, what's his name? Andrew Blake? No, not Andrew Blake. The guy who does the whistling. Bird.
Bird. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's Sleigh Bells.
Sleigh Bells, okay.
Yeah. Fiddler is also on Mom and Pop.
Are
a lot
those
of fine bands.
Do you find
hot artists?
You're listening to a lot of those artists?
Some of them.
What are you listening to now mostly?
Well, like I said, I'm home on break for tour for a little bit, and so I've been going through some records I picked up out on the road. One of the nice things about traveling around is you can sometimes find some good records and some old records for cheap. Today, I particularly enjoyed this one album by Bo Diddley. It's called The Black Gladiator, I think is the title of it. Very striking cover. Bo's wearing kind of like a S&M leather and chain outfit. It's really kind of a super funky record from the early 70s. It seems as if Bo may have been under the influence of one of the younger Chess. I think at a certain point the second generation took over the operation. That's why you got all those crazy records like Electric Mud and Electric Wolf. They're trying to get heavy or psychedelic or something. But there's some good stuff on those records, and Black Gladiator certainly has definitely has some good songs on it. Other than that, a whole big pile of things from Crypt Records. The great Tim Warren has been. He not only has revived the Back from the Grave series, he recently did, Back from the Grave volumes 9 and 10. He's also doing this series called Last of the Garage Punk Unknowns. I think there's 4 volumes of that, and so I was blowing through those today.
That sounds great. We noticed. I
mean, as far as bands that are alive and kicking and going today. Look around your studio. I noticed you have a poster here for Talk Normal, and they're another New York City band, and I think they're a gregreat band. And we've played a couple times with them.
Do you feel like a particular kinship with New York bands when you?
I think so. That's why I live here. I fell in love with the art and music coming out of here, and also the city, the Lower East Side and stuff like that. For sure, bands like Swans, Sonic Youth, Lydia Lunch, the Velvets, the Dolls, Suicide, made me want to come here.
Yeah. Did you read Patti Smith's, or even hear Patti Smith's obituary for Lou Reed? Just talking about how New York was affected by the passing of Lou Reed. Did you feel anything?
I was definitely very sad.
Right.
That was a sad thing to lose Mr. Reed. I don't recall if I read Patti Smith's piece. No.
Well, Freedom Tower New Wave Dance Party is very much a New York record, and it's a very, very good New York record.
Thanks.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about it before we play some of it?
Go check it out for yourself.
All right.
And listen to it, and come see the Blues Explosion play when we're in your town.
This song is called Crossroad Hop. It's off Freedom Tower No Wave Dance Party by John Spencer Blues Explosion. This is John Spencer in the studio, who we just interviewed.
Signing off.
All right, this is WNYU, the New Afternoon Show.